I'd be remiss without chatting with you about something, because obviously you are, in my opinion, a unicorn. You've 11 singles, 11 number ones. So I feel like there's a question to ask here that might be able to help other artists. And maybe you might not want to answer the question because maybe you want to keep having number ones. And if you help other artists, then maybe that's more competition. I have a feeling you're going to answer it, though. So
Let's go.
11 number ones in a row. So what is the strategy for David Adam Byrnes when you're picking the single? Because it's so easy, I feel, to pick the wrong single, promote the wrong single at the wrong time of year or the wrong album, whatever it is. You've had success 11 times in a row. What do you think you can attribute that to?
The very first one, I really think was just me, how I talked about just coming into Texas and being authentic and telling my story. I will never forget that radio promoter I had. He's not the guy I have now, but his exact words were, "Man, I love your entire record. Every song on here is a hit. And I believe in this." He goes, "But you went to Nashville and you're from Arkansas." He goes, "We will be lucky if we sniff the top 20 on this first single." And that was Beer Bucket List. And I just told my story. And the funny part was I realized how at that time when I went out pushing that song, that the meaning behind that song had completely changed for me. And even now, as I'm older, every year it seems like I have a new meaning of what that song means to me. But for that one in particular, I can't really take the credit other than the fact that when I made that record, Trent and I said we were recording 10 singles. There's not going to be a song on this record that doesn't deserve to be a single. And that's probably the next philosophy of it. It's just, you're not in a day with B-sides, and it's a singles market, whether it's digital or radio. And so if you don't think something is good enough to be a smash single, then why record it? So as far as picking the songs, I think that's the philosophy. You have ones that you kind of wait for time of year, hey, this isn't a good time for a ballad, or we need a tempo here. But a weird way of looking at it is kind of like the NFL draft. When it comes time for a single to come out, I just go, what's the best available song? And that's kind of what we release. So,
are you ever looking at what the other songs are on the charts? Is that part of the stratosphere, or does that just not enter your thinking at all?
If I'm honest, not at all.
Yeah.
Because if you base around what everybody else is doing, then you're just chasing.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't think there's any good in that. But I can be fortunate enough to say, some of those guys get on like even on the mainstream scale, George Strait gets to a point where it doesn't matter what he sings, it's going to go number one. I feel like we've probably kind of got to that level right now to where we can put out just about anything and it'll probably top the chart. But it's also up to me to make sure that song's worth topping. This single right now, Last Cowboy Standing, this was risky. It was not really my top choice to be a radio single. I thought it was a good for digital and for TikTok sounds and this and that. And my team just loved it and thought, man, you needed different content. You've done the Keep Up with the Cowgirl thing. You've got the heartbreak thing. You got the I love you thing. Like, your whole thing is preserving this way of life. Why don't you make that be the statement of this next single? And so that was a risk because it's different.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit. It does not fit the formula for what has worked so far.
Right.
But, man, it's climbing the chart and hopefully it tops it again. But it's, you got to take chances. You see artists, they're always trying to reinvent and make sure that they don't just get complacent. My wife's all the time asking about this artist and that artist. Well, what happened to them? I'm like, they just kind of fizzled out. They never changed what they were doing.
Yeah, so. Complacency, being consistent is so hard in this business, right? Like, you can go years and years and years of just putting out content every day and just be on the same plane, and then that consistency will just bring you to a different level eventually. I believe in that wholeheartedly. You talked about the new single, and I've chatted with so many songwriters, hundreds and hundreds of songwriters, and I feel like songwriting and songs in general is such a hard business to be successful at because you can't put the same song out over and over again. And
no, you got to reinvent. You got to reinvent
because you have success with a song. You can't just put the same song out again and again and again. You have to have different content, and just by doing that, one might fall short. And it's just incredible that none of them have fallen short for you yet. And that's, like I said, it's just such a cool thing.